you have one team that I definitely thought would be here or could possibly be here, and that was the Rams. And another team that I had absolutely no idea that they would be here, and that is the Cincinnati Bengals. Both teams, man. Everything's been said about Matthew Stafford. Everything's been said about Joe Burrow. Everything's been said about the weapons. Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, Joe Mixon, Cooper Kupp, Odell Beckham Jr., Cam Akers. Everything's been said about the offensive weapons. Everything's been said about, this being Matthew Stafford's and Odell Beckham Jr.'s first time here. This is Joe Burrow's second year. Jamar Chase's first. Everything's been said. To me, this game comes down to Cincinnati's offensive line has gone through pretty much a murderer's row when you talk about the defensive lines that they've gone against. They've gone against the incredible defensive front for the Tennessee Titans. They overcame. Even though they gave up, the team overcame because they gave up 9 sacks. Then you go against Chris Jones, Melvin Ingram, and the Kansas City Chiefs defensive line. You overcome. You win in overtime. So they've gone through a pretty much tough gauntlet as far as defensive lines that this offensive line, which is Cincinnati's worst team, which is their offensive line. They've gone through a gauntlet of defensive lines. However, they have not seen a defensive line this entire year like the one they will be seeing tomorrow. And that is the Rams defensive line. When you have Aaron Donald, who is arguably the greatest interior lineman in NFL history, Von Miller, who is a former Super Bowl MVP, and Everett, who is a big body. The game is going to be, can Cincinnati's weakest group of their team withstand the Rams' strongest group of the team? Can that offensive line for Cincinnati that gave up 9 interceptions and should have gave up a bunch of interceptions? I mean, why do I keep saying interceptions? That gave up 9 sacks against Tennessee, and that should have gave up a bunch of sacks against Kansas City. It was just Joe Burrow's escapability was incredible against Cincinnati. Can that offensive line stop or give Joe Burrow enough time when you have the defensive front that is the Los Angeles Rams that's ranked first in the league? Can they stop him? Because you give Joe Burrow time and the pieces that they have, you're going to have to throw a lot of screens. You're going to have to throw a lot of quick balls. You're going to have to throw a lot of slants because you're not going to have that much time. The defense has played better than I thought. The defense has excelled more than I thought. So I'm not going to say that they're a weak point at this point, especially when you have Matthew Stafford, who is prone to, he could give you one. Hell, he tried to give one in San Francisco. Homie just dropped the ball. So Matthew Stafford could give you one. Even now, you're gonna have to. You're either gonna. What I think they're gonna try to do is they're gonna try to double. They're gonna try to double Cooper Kupp, and they're gonna try their darndest to get to Matthew Stafford because they know with Tyler Higbee more than likely not playing, they know that it's really Odell Beckham Jr. or nothing. Now you do have Jefferson, but you cannot single coverage Cooper Kupp. So they're going to try to double Cooper Kupp and try their best to get to Matthew Stafford because as we've seen, Odell Beckham Jr. has the ability to bust the game wide open. So the same as Joe Burrow. I mean, and Jamar Chase. What they're probably gonna do is they're gonna double Jamar Chase because as the Kansas City Chiefs saw the regular season, Jamar Chase can kill you now, and that's why T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd are going to be huge for this game because they're now facing single coverage. I think T. Higgins is probably better than Tyler Boyd, so you're going to have single covered because Jamar Chase, 9 times out of 10, either Jamar Chase is getting double coveraged or getting doubled, or you're putting Jalen Ramsey on Jamar Chase, and Jalen Ramsey is probably the best corner in the league. So the game, to me, comes down to, even though it's pretty much a home game it is a home game, even though it's just funny because the Rams are actually the away team, even though they're at SoFi Stadium. It's can the Cincinnati's weakest group, which is their offensive line, withstand the Rams' strongest group, which is their defensive line? I am going to pick the Los Angeles Rams to win the Super Bowl because while, yes, the Cincinnati offensive line has been battle tested and has gone through a gauntlet of, the Tennessee Titans offensive or defensive front is incredible. The defensive front for the Chiefs is tough with Chris Jones in them. I get that. But no, none of those teams have an Aaron Donald. None of those teams have a Von Miller who is erupted in the playoffs. And none of those teams have that offensive or defensive front that the Rams have. Not to mention the fact that you're going to have to double Cooper Kupp, which means you have Odell Beckham Jr. single covered. I think that's going to be which you can say the same thing for Cincinnati. More than likely, you're going to have to double cover. If Jalen Ramsey's not getting it done, which you could, if Jalen Ramsey's not getting it done, you're going to have to double cover Jamar Chase, which leaves T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd, who are both exceptional wide receivers. But I saw that offensive line, and this is the same thing. This is the same reason why I thought I thought the Kansas City Chiefs was going to win. I saw Cincinnati's offensive line give up 9 sacks. And while, yes, Tennessee Titans has an incredible defensive front, that defensive front is nowhere close to the defensive front that is the Rams. And because of that, I have the Rams winning the Super Bowl over the Cincinnati Bengals. I'm going to say 27-24. 27-24.